I'm excited to release Stock Index Portfolio 26 for August trade. This is an update from Stock Index Portfolio 22. We are removing one strategy and adding 5, including Robot 2022, to show you how this works in this portfolio as far as the workspace setups, as well as the portfolio calculator. This is an equity peak to equity peak transition, and we are waiting for a drawdown to go live in trading. And so the last portfolio, Stock Index 22, was at an equity peak, and this one's at an equity peak, which is really the best time to transition. And I'm going to explain why in a minute. These are the two ES strategies that we're adding, and we are removing VSD divergence on the NQ, adding tick pullback, parabolic VSD, and Robot 2022. You can trade the E-minis and the micros with this. I'm going to show you that. You see this workspace is ES, this workspace is NQ, and there are 9 strategies in the E-mini S&P. There are 17 strategies in the E-mini Nasdaq. You can see those trading today. With about 30 minutes left in the day, it looks like it could be a drawdown day, which we are actually waiting for to start live trading, like I said. This is the micro E-mini S&P. You can see the same workspace setup, except the symbol has an M in front of it for the micros. And here is the MNQ. So I've added the Robot 2022 NQ. It is actually this other strategy right next to it. Robot 2022 NQ on the micro. You can see the trades it's taken here recently. So Robot 2022 NQ, our latest strategy, has been added to the Stock Index Portfolio 26. Let's take a look at this in the portfolio calculator now, so you can see what we're doing a little bit. So this is the setup. In the last 11 years, the worst case drawdown is about 29K. From this point forward, it only pulls back about 29K. I'm going to show you that in a minute by deleting some data prior to mid-2011. But this is the latest portfolio calculator. I called it Scratch because I'm going to delete some data. The regular download is on the website and can be downloaded, so you can see that. And so this is through Sunday. The data is through Friday. I updated this on Sunday for weekend research. And you can see the new drop-down menu with the Stock Index Portfolio E-mini. What's even better is the Stock Index and Commodity Portfolio. It includes the same, 17 strategies that we had before, and then making the changes that we had only on the Stock Index part, adding 2 ES, adding 3 NQ, and removing another NQ strategy. So 29K is the worst case drawdown. This number is boosted to almost 10,000, 96-90%. I love the drawdown curve. You can see this recent equity peak pop that we've had, and love this drawdown curve. It's kind of tilted forward, and I've talked about that before. I want to show you what I mean. And so what I mean by tilted forward is it's kind of moving up this way. The trend is more this way. The tilt is up instead of down. This is kind of a down tilt in the equity curve. This is kind of an up tilt, and you can see that in the density of the equity peaks. When this hits 0, lots of density in equity peaks. It's not making a worst case drawdown. This is the worst case drawdown back in 2019, and it's more relevant back here. The time between equity peaks is further, but it's less relevant back here. The market is much different, and you can see the relevancy as the time to equity peaks decreases with the current market environment. So there's bias based on the current market environment. Even if you had to trade through those time periods, the results are still pretty good, and we can take a look at that as we scroll up here and see the annual results. Not terrible, not bad at all. And so I can show you a backward tilting equity curve. That's one of the reasons why it's transitioned from the current. I also want to show you this in the Stock Index portfolio. So we've got this forward tilting equity curve. You can see it even more here. There was a little bit of a separation right there in June. June was a tough month, but it did make a worst case drawdown. So it's kind of tilted forward. Let me show you that again. And then we'll look at the, just see the density of this equity curve kind of tilting this way. And the frequent equity peaks, there was a pause right in there. And then now we're having some strong equity peaks in here. We're waiting for a fast drawdown of about 10 to 15K per E-mini. and the worst case drawdown going back to 2011 is about 29K. If you start here and you go forward, that worst case drawdown is about 29K as well. So I'm going to show you the backward tilting equity curve. And I'm going to go up here to the older portfolios that we transitioned from. Stock index portfolio 22 right here kind of had a backward tilting equity curve starting to work. It's working lower. The challenge was, we talked about in July, is that we had recently adjusted this because June was tough, and then you continue to see, this does have a lot of equity peaks right here, and it's still a good portfolio, but it's not as forward tilting and not as relevant right now from what I see. And so now I want to show you the drawdown curve going back to mid 2011. And so I'm going to come in here and delete this data. That's why I've renamed this as a scratch portfolio, because I don't want to delete the data in the other workspace that you have to download, but you could use the undo button as well. So let's go in here and delete this data prior to June of 2011, and you can see more clearly what the drawdown curve looks like. And this is the old portfolio. Let's go to the new portfolio, stock index portfolio, 7207, back to mid 2011. 29,140 is the worst case drawdown. I like that number, and I like the drawdown curve. Once again, it is more relevant than it is historically, as the equity peaks are more shallow here, but further apart, and then they get tighter here. So we're waiting for a fast drawdown to buffer any worst case drawdowns, because we always anticipate that the market will transition, and we take these superior strategies that are in the current market mode, and then we run them forward. We get in on a drawdown and we run them forward, and then we get out if it makes a worst case drawdown. Somewhere in that, kind of the art of trading is timing it. I don't want to jump in and out, but I like to start on a drawdown and then run forward and then get out if it continues to struggle. And so this is what we're looking at, 7207. Let's look at the stock index and commodity portfolio, and you can see 29,043, which is even better. It's 8772 because it's removing some of the previous data, so this number isn't as high as it was when it had all the data. Really like this equity curve. Really like this equity curve. And so this is the 500K portfolio though, so recommend good capitalization if you're going to trade this. This is the update really for the stock index portfolio 26 for both the micros and the minis. You can see the micros here, 2,900 with a 40K account size required. That's with full margin. You could be a little more aggressive if you want. I'm using full margins on the E-mini S&Ps. I'm taking 1/10 of these numbers from the E-minis to calculate the micros. So the margin's actually using this for the day trade for the E-mini S&P, and it's using this number right here, 1650. While the real number is 4125. You could test that out and see the smallest number. And we're also more conservative in the fact that we are using the maximum amount of margin if all positions took a net position, which never happens. So 12K would be an aggressively low number. If for example volatility picks up and they raise margins, then you wouldn't have enough capital to trade all the strategies. So which can also sometimes save you. Sometimes if if the volatility goes up, sometimes it is better just to sit on the sidelines if you don't have enough margin. Sometimes the strategies can go through a losing streak if volatility is too high as well. So this is what I want to share today. Robot 2022, as well as 4 other strategies added to the stock index, E-minis, micros, as well as the stock index and commodity portfolio for August the 1st. And for live trading, we are waiting for a drawdown to get that the live signal to take these trades in real time.
Hey, David Bean here. Welcome to Capstone Trading Systems YouTube page. Be sure to subscribe to join our community of algorithmic traders. We are real money traders. We share our winning streaks, we share our losing streaks, as well as market updates, strategies, and coding tips.